Hey guys, Mike from Shamino's workshop. Here I have a different type of commission. This is an older Force Relics model hilt made of wood. And coincidentally enough, I have two Gungis. So this is a Gungi. This is what would be like a Padawan Wookiee, like a youngling. I think we see them in the Clone Wars, but Gungi is a Padawan Wookiee, and this is his lightsaber. This particular model, Force Relics, about a decade old. I think the run was in 2012, maybe 2013. I don't know if this is maple or walnut. I'm not sure the type of wood. And these, I believe, are 3D printed and then maybe powder coated. Metal blade holder. Some screws here for retention. And yeah, so this was sent to me to install. And I say it was coincidence because I also received Jawa's Junkyard Gungi recently. He also did a run. And I'll do a video separately on that. But this is brought to me to install with, Proffieboard and all that fun stuff. So I created a chassis. It's a multi-part chassis, makes use of the Pixel Switch PCB. This metal piece down here is part of the hilt. And so I incorporated it into the chassis design so that it holds the chassis and gives you something to grab to pull the chassis out or to seat it. So 18650 battery holder with Keystone battery terminals, Proffieboard 2.2, the Pixel Switch PCB, and a 24mm bass speaker, which I've also added to my Etsy store. I had ordered a bunch of these and finally getting to try them out, and I'm impressed. 3-watt 4-ohm speaker. I believe this is programmed at 2000 or 2200. It's nice. It's got a good volume and a good bassy sound to it. What else? Yeah, so I attached the metal part to the chassis. When I built the chassis, I ensured that this area was solid, solid in full, solid wall perimeters, so that it would grab those retention screws, and that worked out well. And then there's also there's a chassis retention hole back here. So I had to drill and tap a hole there, drill and tap a hole here. And the purpose is just to make sure that this chassis stays in once it's inserted. So let's get a battery. So let me finish. So we can see inside there's a stock short pin NeoPixel blade connector in there, and then there's a 1-button setup. So there's actually a second chassis piece inside here. You can maybe see in there. You can see the blade side part. But essentially it runs about this long and is retained by a set screw behind the screw. So basically I cut the screw, because these screws were real long. They went about an inch into the hilt, so you got to cut them. So this one I cut real short and then just used like an 8/32 set screw to hold the chassis in place. You can actually see it in there. And then this one I also cut down. That serves as blade retention. Okay. And so what I do, you can see there's orientation. You got to line it up properly. So I do my best to line it up. And then I'm looking through the hole to see the hole. And so this takes a little practice. But then sometimes what I'll do then is I'll stick the Allen key or the hex tool into the hole and just kind of wiggle it just to get the holes lined up. And then, now I've seen some older Force Relic installs, some of these installs that had a cover tech here. I'm not sure if the cover tech was included with the kit. The customer that purchased this, I think, purchased it secondhand, and some of those original kit pieces were missing, like the switch. Oops, I forgot I did that. Like the switch, a switch holder, maybe a cover tech. Not sure. But I have seen some installs that had a cover tech. Maybe it was just, you know, powder coated to try to match. But we both agreed when we talked through it, you know, I needed chassis retention. We explored cover tech, but we agreed it just looked out of place. It's not going to be on anybody's hip. And, you know, we decided to go with just kind of a low profile set screw to hold it. And it does the trick, right? It won't fall out. So the first two fonts are a Lord Blako font, two of them. One is a Wookiee font and one is a Youngling font. Excuse me. But they're much older Plector style fonts, probably made when this hilt came out originally a decade ago. So no smooth swing, no accent swings. It is programmed for a 36-inch, 1-inch blade. So you can push that in. I'm not using my demo blade for this video because I have already programmed it for a 130 pixel blade. That's got some weight to it now that So even difficult to get those older swings to trigger. And it's wood. I'm not comfortable with the wood and the 3D printed pieces, so I tend to hold it down below. I try not to swing it too much. I don't know, I just feel like I'm gonna break it. I'm not gonna break it, but it feels like I'm gonna break it. And two. So, you know, it's ProffieOS 5.7, using SA22 prop file, no gestures. That's the Youngling font. If you read the description, it's like an intentionally high pitch. And then the rest are, you know, a bunch of, I won't go through all the fonts, but, you know, a bunch of KSith and Kyberphonic fonts. Let's see, 1, 2. Okay, that brings us back to the first font. Just give you a closer look up at the hilt itself. Obviously this was probably spun on a lathe to, you know, make the dimensions and the cuts. And I'm not sure if this is metal, powder coated metal. I'm not sure what this is. This didn't feel like metal, but maybe this is metal. I think, in fact, I know it's metal because when I took these screws out, it definitely felt metal. Yeah, so, you know, these are really cool. And what I'm learning with wood too, right, is obviously this has been stained and maybe it has some sort of finish on it, but the inside doesn't. So the inside's raw. And what I'm noticing, you know, as I'm in New York, so it's been rainy and snowy, but then also dry and not so humid, causes the wood to swell. And so I find on some days it's a little more difficult to seat and remove the chassis because I believe the wood is swelling from that humidity, just slightly. Some days this goes in perfect, and some days, you know, it's a little bit of a, you got to tug it out. But it's nice because there's this lip here on the metal, so you can kind of use your nails to get in there and grab it out. Sometimes I'll even kind of use like a J hook style tool to go into what I believe is probably meant for a recharge port. Maybe not, but feels like a recharge port should go there. But yeah, I can use a J hook tool, and if I need that extra leverage to pry it out. Same thing on the battery. Positive side is up here. So what I tend to do is just kind of grip the battery here and kind of angle it out from the positive side. But you know, sometimes that's a little bit tricky too. So instead what I do is, you know, I have like a plastic dowel tool that I'll just push the positive end up. But as long as you can get your fingers kind of wrapped around the battery and you pry it right up. Yeah. So you know, short and sweet. It was a fun project to work on. I enjoyed, you know, something different with the wood, and you'll see, you know, hopefully within the week or so I'll wrap up my other Gungi. I'll do a video on that, and I'll have chassis available. Alright guys, well thanks for watching. Of course, you know, leave some comments or feedback, questions, let me know. Thanks guys.